Hola. Anyone here ever whisper to yourself a negative word? Does that impact the way you connect with other folks when you want to share your ideas and perspectives? Perhaps? I'm wondering if any of you are impacted just by thinking and nervous about just speaking in public. Sometimes? Yeah. No worries. I have the same issue. So I like to immerse myself in my own thoughts and ideas. I prefer to be more comfortable speaking with just one or two people rather than a large crowd, right? I got you. I think we understand that. So what in the world am I doing here? Well, perhaps I didn't do so well on OnlyFans. So here I am. No, that's a total lie. Actually, I wanted to share with you this idea, that it's the sum of our individual narratives, the stories we tell ourselves that will determine our collective story and the future we create together. So before coming on stage, I had to make some changes, some personal changes, and it has to do with words. So please join me on a quick journey to discover the power that's sitting right on the tip of your tongue. To tell stories, humans have developed an incredibly advanced technology to help us integrate our diverse thoughts and perspectives. I'm talking about language. And language is made up of words. Now, there is a paradox. Words that are made to help us communicate with each other often seep below the surface. And our inner critic hijacks them to talk to ourselves, creates self-doubt and fear, and silences our voices. And without sharing all of our unique perspectives, we lose out. But our community does too. I was born in Colombia, land of salsa, cumbia, coffee, and empanadas, all at the same time. Sadly, the first recollection I have as a toddler is of my father chasing me around the house, yelling, el palo, la escoba y la bruja, the stick, the broom, and the witch. I was petrified, and I'd break out crying. I already had monsters under my bed. Now I had them in my head. That perhaps was the first encounter I had with the power of words. In his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki writes, it's not what you say out of your mouth that determines your life. It's what we whisper to ourselves that has the most power. That whispering, that self-talk is made up of words. And words color our thoughts. Our thoughts drive our actions, and our actions form our future. When I was about 9 years old, we moved to Montreal. There, I had to learn English and French. The first words in English I learned from Captain Kangaroo, that kids' TV show, way back when. Then, in school, I don't remember exactly why, but our teacher told the class she was embarrassed. So I cheered and I said, congratulations. The class just erupted in laughter. See, it was a simple mix-up. In my world, the word embarrassed sounded like embarazada, because in Spanish that means pregnant. So I was wishing her well for her embarrassment. A few years later, we moved again, this time to Tel Aviv, where I had to learn Hebrew. Now, Hebrew is written backward. Now, you might know a few Hebrew words like Leviathan, behemoth, hallelujah, right? These are all coming from Hebrew. But there's one short word that I try to carry with me all the time. You watched The Wizard of Oz? You probably took away a lesson. The lesson I took away is about courage and strength. Because in Hebrew, that's what the word Oz is associated with. Now, these are just a few snippets from my childhood. But by learning languages, there's one thing that I discovered that is really cool, that words open worlds. Then later on, my jobs took me to countries like Germany, China, Italy, where I got to connect with folks from so many different perspectives. I also learned how cultures try to reinforce their values, especially about what is right and what is wrong. using proverbs. Like there's some folks that say opposites attract, but others insist that birds of a feather flock together. Then there's some folks that say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but others insist silence is golden. Here's my favorite: if you see something, say something. Or was it, do snitches get stitches? I think you get the idea. But here's the point. All of these proverbs are human constructs, and these constructs are made up of words. But more important, there is no absolute right or wrong. You get to pick and choose which words work for you in your specific circumstances. And at the same time, I think we can appreciate that by embracing so many perspectives, multiple perspectives, we are empowered to build a better, more inclusive world for everyone. Now, I want you to remember this sound. I'm sure you've heard it before. I learned this from Dr. Richard Hanson. Dr. Hanson is an expert on the neuroscience of happiness. Now, he explains how our brains are wired so that negative thoughts are attracted like Velcro, while positive ones tend to slide off like Teflon. If you've ever seen a Velcro from up close, there's these tiny loops on one side and hooks on the other. Our thoughts are like those tiny loops that get stuck in those hooks. You ever had a bad song stuck in your head? That's what it feels like. Or it could be a word. Take, for example, the F word. I'm not talking about that four-letter word. I'm talking about failure. It's a word that can hook us. So I wanted to understand what it is about this word that causes all these ruminating thoughts, the overthinking, the self-doubt. So I immersed myself. And I decided I would interview failure. I pretended I was a podcaster. I gave it the spirit of a person. And I asked it a bunch of questions so that I can get the answers straight from the horse's mouth. The first thing failure told me is that it's just a word. But this next thing was pretty cool. Failure explained that words don't carry meanings. Humans carry meanings. You and I, we carry meanings. Say, for example, love, respect, or success. Each of us carries a different interpretation of what those words mean. I also learned that words have a lifetime. Many of the words we use today were coined by a bunch of grumpy old men like me centuries ago, based on meanings that meant something to them at those times, a long time ago. So words come and go. Just look up how many words were officially added to the dictionary last year and how many were officially removed from the dictionary, which gave me an idea. Wouldn't it be cool if we can decide which words to remove from our own personal dictionary, our vocabulary, if they're not serving us? Which is kind of what this little frog did when it fell into a well. As it was trying to get out, the frogs up top were yelling, "Give it up! Stop trying! You'll never make it!" You heard that one before? But the little frog kept on leaping higher and higher until it got out. And the frogs then up top were asking, "Why did you keep on trying?" And the frog replied, "I couldn't hear what you were saying. And I thought you were cheering me on." You know, Nelson Mandela said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Besides, meanings change over time. And originally, the word failure was not about quitting. It was about completing a job we had not finished yet. So change happens, meanings change, but when change happens, generations make up new words. My kids taught me cap or no cap. I think it's like true or not true. YOLO, Riz, and simp. Look, these were words that did not exist back when Shakespeare was around. So I decided I'd make up my own word too. So I married the word few with the word influencer, and I came up with influencer. And the meaning I carry for influencer is someone that can empower the vital few, starting with yourself. So, for example, as an influencer, I switch from catastrophizing words, like, the situation is horrible, the situation's awful, which paint a hopeless picture. And I change to words like, yeah, it's undesirable, it's inconvenient, which color the situation as more bearable, something I know I can get through. So be an influencer. Remove words from your dictionary if they're not serving you and switch them for those that do. And make up your own words if you have to. So when life gives you demons, just make demonade. Now, how would you like to learn a few quick words to help attract positive thoughts? Yeah? El palo, la escoba y la bruja. No, I'm kidding. I got rid of those words a long time ago with the help of this sound. So that's why I say remember this sound. It's very helpful. So 3 words, quick words. First word, aha. Aha, aha, aha. A-H-A, aha. Simple word, right? Now, did some of that give you the feeling of surprise? Aha. What you may have missed is that that word made you inhale and exhale. Why is this important? Because breathing is both an unconscious action and it's also an intentional action. Like when we say, aha, for me, for example, it helps me interrupt that fast brain that keeps me thinking 24/7. Next word, H-M-M. Now that gives you the feeling of curiosity, perhaps. Makes us pause and ask questions like, what might I discover from this situation that I didn't know before? Powerful question. One more word, ha. I'll repeat it 5 times. I heard you smile, I heard you laugh. Pretty cool, right? Now, I took a class on laughter yoga a few years ago. And boy, let me tell you, laughter really helps me de-stress and interrupt that fast brain that keeps me going crazy, right? It helps me attract positive thoughts. So we're reaching the end of our journey. Do y'all remember that little frog? The poet Rumi asks, why should I stay at the bottom of a well when I have a strong rope in my hand? Our words can be our strong ropes. They can be our cheerleaders to help us move forward. So before coming on stage, I needed some courage. So I went and I looked for the Wizard of Oz, but he wasn't there. So I whispered to myself 3 very powerful words. Friendship, feedback, and faith. They are my 3 amigos here to help me share my story with you today. But don't take my word for it. You don't have to walk in the shadow of other people's words. Choose your own words to tell yourselves better stories. Because remember, it's the sum of the stories we whisper to ourselves that make up our collective story and the future you and I create together. Mokokoma Mokonoana reminds us that most people master the art of postponing the start. So don't postpone. Immerse yourself today in the power of words. Now, don't go asking who's going to let you. Ask who is going to stop you. Now go and create ripples across your community, 1 word at a time. They are sitting right on the tip of your tongue. Thank you. Gracias.